Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio, where we expose what's broken in the healthcare system, connect you to real health solutions, and inspire you to take back control of your life. We want to help you feel empowered, informed, and free to live naturally without fear, confusion, or dependency. Download our latest book on real solutions for health at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Naturally Inspired Radio is a nationally syndicated show broadcast on over 100 radio stations, online platforms, video channels, and podcast feeds. Follow us on your favorite platform today, hit that like button, leave a comment, and engage in our special live stream chats, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com to learn more, register for our weekly giveaway, and explore past episodes. You can also connect directly with Tammy, follow her on all major social media platforms, and discover more about our featured guests and trusted radio partners. Are you looking for better health? Work with Tammy today and take the first step toward a healthier, more empowered lifestyle. Schedule your complimentary 30-minute lifestyle assessment to explore personalized guidance on nutrition, movement, toxin-free living, and natural beauty without pharma. Get started now and discover Tammy's preferred health products at naturallyinspiredstore.com or text Tammy directly 720-303-8868. Love the show and want to support the movement? Head over to naturallyinspiredradio.com and click on the support tab. There you'll find all the ways you can get involved. Join our Naturally Inspired community, become a preferred customer, attend one of our amazing live events, get your backstage pass for exclusive access, and connect to all things naturally inspired. Thank you for tuning in today. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The information and other content provided on this radio show or in any linked materials is provided for informational purposes only, not intended and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Hey, welcome everybody. It is time for Naturally Inspired Radio. I am so glad you're joining me today. Wouldn't you just know, like another gorgeous day in Northern Colorado. I feel like we've been on a run, and we've been on a run of gorgeous days with wide open blue skies. It's actually pretty incredible. In the morning, there might be a little bit of fog and whatnot. But, in the natural world, that always like burns off when the sun comes out, right? That's what's happening this week. And it's been happening for a while now. So it's really, really awesome. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying our clear, crisp blue skies. All order, well, as orderly as it gets here at the homestead. But all order is restored, meaning I did a massive tuna run. So I've got tuna now. And so order has been restored. And wouldn't you know it, just like that, all these kitties just go exactly where they're supposed to go. So note to self, never run out of tuna. However, we did have a heifer in the front yard this morning, and I'm not sure why. Yes, we had one of our heifers, and I don't even entirely know how she got over here. I think she's channeling the spirit of Bubba, right? My Bubba, who is living somewhere else now. God bless him. He's living somewhere else where there's a lot of acres where he can roam free and not break out of my fence every day. But I feel like one of my old heifers who's just, she's usually so like they don't care about anything, these gals. Somehow she ended up in the front yard today. I should just like walked through a gate or something. I'm not really sure. Anyway, she went right back in. No hassles with her. She's a wonderful gal. But I thought, she channeling her inner Bubba today. Like, what's going on? I just wake up with a heifer in my front yard. Anyway, easy to get her back. Basically, these cows are now, voice trained. So lucky for us. But there's never a dull moment here on the homestead. Oh boy, I cannot wait to get into this topic with you today. I cannot wait. The topic of the culture control topic today, which is the kind of the daily topic where I see things that are being, planted in front of our faces to control culture. What I want to talk about today is the climate change gimmick. I know. I'm crazy, crazy. What are you, an idiot? You don't believe in climate change? No, actually, I don't. I don't believe in marketing campaigns as a form of science. I don't know what's wrong with me. But that's precisely what this is, okay? This is a marketing campaign, everybody. And so there was these two guys on Joe Rogan recently, some great old guys. This is such an enjoyable podcast. This was is Richard Lindzen and William Happer. I'm not sure. Happer? I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Anyway. Two science guys, like real science guys. We're not talking about Bill Nye, the science guy who, got his roots starting in magic. That's not what we're talking about here. These are real science guys. One's from Harvard. Richard comes from Harvard, highly decorated scientist. He studies atmospheric planetary science. And then this other guy, William, he was, studied physics and worked in the energy sector. And you guys, what I've been telling you about this campaign, this marketing campaign of climate change is that, and this was just detection of patterns, the way people say things. It's like I detect some, scammery going on. I have forever with climate change. It's like, this is all like Greta Thunberg is like the little poster child. Like, I know marketing when I see it. And of course I was like, okay, this is a marketing campaign. It just so happens that all the people pushing climate change are also invested in products for the solutions of climate change. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, okay, what's going on here? It's like all the World Economic Forum groupies got together and they're like, hey, if we develop this system, we can get off the petrodollar and we can start forming society towards climate change. This will be the way we scare everybody. Oh, the planet's coming to an end, right? Of course, Al Gore was a big part of this marketing campaign deployment upon the people, which is precisely what it is. I just love this podcast because here's two old dudes just telling it like it is. I looked them up. They're not invested in anything. They're not selling fake meat. They're not invested in data centers. They don't give a crap. They're just telling you what they know. Okay? And if you listen to this entire podcast and you didn't get that out of it, something's wrong with you. Like, you've lost the thread. You've been completely consumed by the algorithm, and you've got a mind virus. And you're part of the cult. You're part of the cult. This is a cult. It is based in nonsensical BS. They're trying to sell stuff. They're trying to shape our culture into the digital revolution. Hello, wake up. I'm particularly annoyed with Canada right now. Like, I can't even. What is wrong here? Like, seriously, wake up. Wake up over there. Okay, so let's get into it. I want to start with the first clip. Okay, I've got several clips, so sit tight because there's some great truth bombs, as they call it, in some of these clips. So the first one I want to start with is just kind of the explanation of the start of climate change. Here it is. And again, this is Richard Lindzen on the Rogan podcast.
I would say with the first Earth Day, 1970, there was a real change in the environmental movement. It began to focus much more strongly on the energy sector and much less on saving the whales. And there was a big difference. I mean, the energy sector involved trillions of dollars. The whales, not so much.
Right.
And at that time, it was cooling, this global mean temperature, which doesn't change much. But, you focus on 1 degree, a half degree, so it looks like something. And it was cooling from the 1930s. 1930s were very warm, and it was getting cooler until the 70s. And that's why they were saying, well, this is going to lead to an ice age. And they focused on that for a while. And then in the 70s, and at that time, well, what do you say? If you're worried about an ice age, they said, well, it'll be the sulfates emitted by coal burning because that reflects light, and the less light that we get, the colder we'll get. But then the temperature stopped cooling in the 70s and started warming. And that's when they said, well, you have to scare people with warming, and you can't use the sulfates anymore. But the scientist called Suki Manabe showed that even though CO2 doesn't do much in the way of warming, doubling it will only give you a half degree or so. But if you assumed that relative humidity stayed constant so that every time you warmed a little, you added water vapor, which is a much more important greenhouse gas, you would double the impact of CO2, which now gives you a degree, which still isn't a heck of a lot, but still it was saying you could increase it.
Oh my gosh. I just love these guys because they don't care. They're just telling you what they know. Let's unpack it when we come back. This is Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm Tammy Cuthbert-Garcia. See you in a minute.
Did you know that a single collagen supplement could support your heart health, help protect against EMF exposure, and reduce inflammation all at the same time? Our preferred foundational collagen not only supports radiant skin and joint mobility, but also promotes heart health, reduces inflammation, strengthens hair and nails, provides added protection against the effects of EMF exposure, and so much more. Our favorite collagen is super absorbable and easy to take. Just 1 tablespoon in the morning and another in the evening for maximum benefits. Here's what our listeners have to say.
This collagen is so easy to take, I've noticed a huge difference in my hair and nails after just a few weeks.
Since I started using Tammy's preferred collagen, my joints feel more flexible and my skin looks smoother.
Try it today at naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen. When you purchase from Naturally Inspired, you get access to our group health coaching call and so much more. Go to naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen.
Did you know that Naturally Inspired Radio is now streaming on 100 plus video podcasts, social media platforms? Just search your favorite platform for Tammy Cuthbert-Garcia or Naturally Inspired Radio, because we are everywhere you listen, watch, and connect. Help us grow our Rumble channel today. Go to rumble.com and search Naturally Inspired Radio. Like our posts, follow our channel, leave a comment, or even join the chat. And don't forget that you can visit naturallyinspiredradio.com anytime for the full list of where we're featured online and on radio. You guys, this climate change campaign, oh gosh, it is so obvious. I mean, I've been talking about it now for a while, that I believe climate change is actually all about energy. And it's about stripping energy from humans in order to redirect it towards the digital revolution. We know that AI, for instance, then that's just one part of the digital revolution, the technology revolution. It's just one part of it, AI. Like your chat GPT, it's like a little part of it. I mean, we're talking about weaponry, we're talking about biotech, there's nothing that technology isn't going to infiltrate, including biology, if they get their way. And so this is all going to require a ton of energy. And so these tech people, that's really the only natural resistance that they're facing right now, is the fact that there just isn't enough energy. There's not enough space. There's not enough, energy to run these data centers. They don't have the correct, elements to run them. The only way to run them is through cooling centers, which they need water to. So as soon as that stuff gets built out, then the full force of this thing is going to be upon us. And so it's all about energy, everybody. The fact that they wanted you to move from incandescent light bulbs to LED light bulbs, it's not because LED is better for you. It's because they're more efficient, and they need to suck every little bit of energy out of the grid in order to redirect it to technology and to AI. Because LEDs are actually worse for our health. Incandescent is proven to be much better for us. But they don't care about your health. They care about AI. They care about technology. They care about changing the world. So this conversation went so many places. I've got another clip for you I want to share. And here, they agree. It's all about energy, everybody. Take a listen to this.
I would say with the deal, the energy sector is trillions of dollars. Anything you can do to overturn it, change it, replace fossil fuels, it's big bucks.
Right.
And one of the odd things, I think, in politics, I don't see it studied much, Congress can actually give away trillions of dollars. If you look at the McKinsey report on, eliminating CO2, net zero, they're saying it'll cost hundreds of trillions of dollars. Well, if you're giving out that much, you don't need that much of your politician. All you need is millions for your campaigning. And all you're asking are the recipients of people who are getting the money that you are giving them, 0.5%, 0.25%, you're golden.
Okay, I just spell this out, right? So what he's saying there is, listen, you got your corporate gangsters. You got your elitist World Economic Forum corporate gangsters. And that's what they are, because they extort people into doing things, and they use the mechanism of government to shape regulation for the benefit of their profits. And this is no different. So let's just lay it out, okay? So you got your corporate gangster who has at his fingertips the possibility of making hundreds of trillions of dollars. Hundreds of trillions of dollars. Not only that, this isn't just about money. And this part's very important, because people are like, well, how much money do you need? It's not about the money. It's about the control. It's about executing their vision of the future, right? Making their mark in history. Do you think that someone like Larry Ellison really needs more money, right? Does he need more money, and that's why he's going around buying up media companies, because he needs more money? Is it just about money? No, it isn't. It's about Larry Ellison's name being in history, and he needs media companies to be able to push the marketing campaign. Because once everybody buys into the marketing campaign, well then, hey, it's easy. I was sick the other day. I happened to catch, I think it was on the Patrick David Bet, or PBD, right? Patrick Bet David. I always get that mixed up. Sorry about that. Anyway, I saw a clip on him and he was talking about Larry Ellison's son buying up all these media outlets, right? And he's like, wow, this is incredible. I mean, this guy's only in his 40s. Yeah, his dad is Larry Ellison. Like, woo-woo, you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty hard to fail when your dad's like, But anyway, okay, so give him some credit, I guess. He's running all these, he's buying up Paramount and he's doing all this stuff. Oh, awesome, great for you. What he says, in another 5 years, people will be going to the Ellisons, if they're already going to the Ellisons, but there'll be no way but to go through the Ellisons in order to get elected as president. And when people go to the Ellisons and they say, hey, I'm so-and-so and I'd like to run for president, get to the back of the line because there's 40 other guys in front of you that want to run for president. Like, it's just frustrating because I think the average American who's a good person and, you like your neighbor or, small business owner or whatever, we're still like in the mind frame that we're patriotic towards our country. Like it's about the Constitution and freedom of speech and, loving your neighbor and all the American things. But like we've lost that a long time ago. We can still keep that in our hearts, I guess, as we operate in our country, but like we're being completely controlled by corporate gangsters. They control politics, they control everything. And so it's not about voting people in anymore. You got to have the money to win the election. And the only place to get that kind of money is through corporate gangsters. And so when we see people like Bobby Kennedy getting into office and we're like so excited, and I still am, I love Bobby Kennedy. I still support him, but I also understand that he's working with corporate gangsters. And that's our system. Our system is run by corporate gangsters. And it's a serious business, a deadly business, right? Containing all the components of what you might think when I say the word gangster. Like, that's where we're at. And that is who controls science, you guys. Science, oh gosh, it's not science. And these two men, God bless them, because they've been, ousted. They're retired now, so they don't care. But, they didn't reach the heights of their careers that they could have with their intellect and their curiosity towards science because science is captured, because science is bought. It's not science anymore. It's corporatization. It's products. That's what it is. And so we should look at it like that. When we hear campaigns like, climate change or whatever, we've got to identify them for what they are. All right, let's go to the next clip, because this is precisely what I mean. Shut up or else.
Subject that you cannot challenge. There's no room for any rational debate, and if you discuss it at all, you are now a climate change denier.
Yeah.
Which is like being an anti-vaxxer or, fill in the blank with whatever other horrible thing you could be called.
Now, that's a very interesting phenomenon. I mean, I was looking at it. On the one hand, you're told the science is settled. Thousands of the world's leading climate scientists all agree, which often makes you wonder. I mean, you went to college. How many climate scientists did you know? I mean, one of thousands. But on the other hand, if you read the IPCC reports, they're pointing out, for instance, that water vapor and clouds are much bigger than CO2, and we don't understand them at all. So here you have the biggest phenomena we don't understand at all, but the science is settled. Who knows what that means?
That's what I mean. This is gangster stuff, right? So on this very video on YouTube, there's a disclaimer on the bottom. We have not one, but two expert professionals, lifetime scientists, one from Harvard, right? And one from Princeton. And there's a YouTube disclaimer right below their names that says, climate change is real. Climate change is real because the UN says it is. The UN says it is. All the experts agree. Thousands of experts agree. But he's telling you right there, like, how many thousands of, like, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? And just take a real minute to think about the term climate change. Will you? Think about that. Climate's changing all the time. I told you there was fog this morning and now there's sunshine today. And, we have seasons. And so that's a way, it's just a marketing technique to keep it in a space of subjectiveness so that they can redefine it as needed. Okay? As needed. So, when it's hot, they can say, well, it's climate change. When it's cold, they can say, well, it's climate change. It's ridiculous. Come on, man. Start up your brain cells. Like, really think about this here, okay? Because I'm gonna get into some other stuff too, where you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. Because it truly is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Stay tuned, everybody. This is Naturally Inspired Radio, and we will be right back.
Did you know 80% of beef consumed in the U.S. comes from 4 major corporations, much of it being imported or processed with additives? Want real beef from a real farm? Pumpkin Creek Ranch does things the right way. Local, grass-fed, dry-aged beef with no additives, no shortcuts, just honest quality.
Pumpkin Creek Ranch beef is the real deal. I love knowing exactly where my meat comes from. No additives, no nonsense, just honest quality beef.
Best beef I've ever had. You can taste the difference. Rich, tender, and packed with real flavor. Plus, supporting a local ranch makes it even better.
From pasture to plate, they raise their cattle with care, so you can get rich, natural flavor that only real ranching can provide. Stock your freezer with premium beef you can trust. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com or call 970-658-0176.
Did you know that studies show the antioxidants in our favorite cellular reset can slow cellular aging by up to 40% and support healthy DNA repair, keeping you vibrant from the inside out? Jennifer from Florida shared this with me. After 3 weeks, I could see the difference. My skin looked fresher, my focus came back, and even my husband commented that I seemed more alive. Tammy's support kept me consistent and encouraged me to make small daily changes that added up fast. So try it today. Get a free membership, 15% off all the retail products, and a money-back guarantee. That's right, a lifetime money-back guarantee. So if you use the product, it's empty, you decide, I don't really like that, you get a full money-back guarantee. So there's no risk here. Hardly anybody ever returns anything, I will say. But that option is available to you. So there's no risk. Go to naturallyinspiredstore.com/reset. naturallyinspiredstore.com/reset. And if you have questions about what the cellular reset does, maybe you're like, will this work for me? Just text me. It's me. It's not a bot. It's not a answering service. It's truly, it's just me. So 720-303-8868. Okay. So they brought up so many awesome points in here, which I'm like, the whole time I'm watching this and listening to it, because I listened to it a bit last night and then I listened to it again this morning and a little bit this afternoon. I'm not fully done with it yet, but I got a few segments in here. I was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm listening to these guys and I'm like, see, that's what I said. That's what I said. Like, just even think, how do you measure an entire planet, okay, for climate change? I mean, just think about that, right? How are you going to measure an entire planet at the same time, like for climate change? I thought the same thing. Listen to this.
Not clear what that is. I mean, some average over the whole globe. How do you take it? What do you do with it? But more than that, what is climate? And, there is a definition. It's an arbitrary definition. And it's that it's time variation on time scales longer than 30 years. It's pretty arbitrary.
Yeah.
But it distinguishes it from weather, which changes from day to day or week to week. And
right.
So on.
So if they can see a rise in temperature over 30 years, they start getting concerned.
They start calling it climate. Okay, now you can take data from every station and filter it to get rid of everything shorter than 30 years. That's called a low-pass filter. And you can look at that and each station and see how does it correlate with the globe. And it turns out very poorly, because most climate change, by that definition, is regional. So, for instance, in this area, let's say the states like Louisiana, Alabama, Gulf states, they had a period of cooling when the rest of the country was warming.
It just doesn't quite work out unless you have a subjective term like climate change. Right? I mean, there were so many fantastic points in this podcast. Another one that they brought up was actually eugenics, right? This idea that everyone should be so afraid of climate change that you don't want to have children. This is a form of eugenics. I mean, and if you say, "Oh, that's crazy," that's nuts. No, no. Demons don't announce themselves. I don't know who needs to hear that today, but demons don't walk into a room and go, "I'm here, I'm evil, I'm a demon, I'm here to practice nefarious things." No, they don't do that, right? You gotta be smarter than the average bear to detect evil. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a little concerned at this point, more than a little concerned, that there's gonna be not enough people that are smarter than the average bear to detect this stuff. Okay? Now, let me say this. It isn't that we don't have an environmental problem. We do have an environmental problem. We do. We have less species of bugs. We're losing species all the time. We have trouble with our soil because of contamination and chemical use. We have trouble with our waterways because of the same chemical use and whatnot. I mean, I made a list of things here that we do have trouble with, and so I'm not saying that we don't have problems. Okay? I'm not saying that we don't have problems, but it isn't climate change. Okay? And if you really want to start looking up who's responsible for the problems, guess where it goes? It actually goes back to the corporate gangsters, right? Because they're the ones that are cutting corners. They're the ones that are polluting. And we do have a pollution problem, right? We do have a pollution problem. But this climate change thing, that ain't it. That ain't it. That is a marketing scam to sell you solutions to fix climate change. And these two guys, I mean, they really broke it down. And eugenics is here. It's been here. It hasn't left. Now, there are different strategies for it. And there's plenty of them on the table right now that can be detected. Scaring people into thinking that the world is ending and so they shouldn't have children is a practice of eugenics. And that's just fascinating to me that people wouldn't be able to detect that. We got to be a little faster on this stuff and call it out for what it is. I'm thinking like, wow, how far could this go? Could this ploy to push climate change upon us for the benefit of more energy to be diverted over to the digital revolution and artificial intelligence? Could people be tricked into like extinction on this? Because like I'm really starting to wonder, because if you're not wanting to have kids because of climate change, and you want to punish yourself, right? Like, with your carbon credit score, you want to make sure your carbon, like, are you going to just live in a box? Like, what are you going to do? How are you going? How far are they going to con you? How far are they going to con you? I mean, so what I do here, so, this freaking guy in Canada, this Carney guy, what does he weigh? Like $120? He's this tiny little guy. He's so annoying. Okay. Oh, I'm talking about this and that. Watch this. Okay. This is Mark Carney in Canada, people.
Because it's certainly been driven within academia by the availability of funds. If you're willing to support the narrative.
That's my
Climate change is an existential threat. We all recognize that. There's increasing urgency around that. But the converse of that, the flip side of that is if you're taking steps, making investments, coming up with new technologies, changing the way you do business, all in service of reducing and eliminating that threat, you're creating value. And what we have seen increasingly, spurred initially by the Sustainable Development Goals, accelerated with Paris, and then through social movements and others and governments acting, is society is putting tremendous value on achieving net zero. So the companies and those who invest in them and lend to them, who are part of the solution, will be rewarded. But those who are lagging behind and are still part of the problem will be punished.
This is a sleazy little corporate gangster. That's what you got here. Let me just tell you. Okay, so here's a summary of key affiliations and activities of Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada. So these are related to his climate change solutions and, quote, green finance. Okay, so let's just take a look at it here. Very high level finance structural initiatives, all relating to climate change. Okay, so he's the UN Special Envoy for Climate Action and Finance. He was appointed by the UN Secretary General as Special Envoy of Climate Action and Finance in December of 2019. In that role, he emphasized how climate change is a systemic risk to finance and sought to mobilize private finance towards net zero. He's the co-chair, or was the co-chair, of Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero. He helped launch GFANZ, that's GFANZ, in 2021, which involves major financial institutions committing to net zero goals. This ties him to climate finance mechanisms. He was the vice chair, head of ESG and impact investing at Brookfield Asset Management. So in 2020, Brookfield announced, Carney's appointment as vice chair and head of ESG impact fund investing. Brookfield, under his leadership, committed to transitioning investing in clean energy rather than fossil carbon assets. Central banking links. So financial regulatory emphasis on climate risk. When he was governor of the Bank of England, Carney emphasized that climate risk is a material risk to financial institutions. He has been quoted saying that the vast majority of the world's remaining reserves of oil, gas, and coal must be left in the ground. And as Prime Minister of Canada, his policy focuses on climate transition. He's indicated shifting carbon pricing policy, and he's very active in finance, transition, investing, and policy. Brookfield Asset Management and Transition Fund, it raised $10 billion for Global Transition Fund under Carney's oversight, targeting investments that speed up transition to net zero economy. Brookfield is actively seeking large equity investments for green power, renewable as part of that transition. This includes wind farms, solar generation, battery storage, infrastructure, data centers, and possibly other transition assets. His affiliation in the investment world clearly ties him to renewable power generation. Do you get it now? Do you get it? Gosh, I hope you get it. Makes me sick. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Did you know that nearly 70% of Americans struggle with their health every single day? That's why we are reaching out to health professionals and to anyone who simply has a heart for helping people. Right now, there's an opportunity to make a real difference in people's lives while building a flexible income stream for yourself. Whether you're already working in health, wellness, or just passionate about seeing people thrive, we want to connect with you and introduce you to our system. Together, we can provide real solutions that empower people to take control of their health and create lasting impact. If you've been looking for a way to combine purpose with income, this is it. Visit simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. That's simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. We look forward to working with you.
I don't know, you guys. It's crazy. We're run by corporate gangsters, and I don't know what we're going to do about it. I'll share with you that last clip that I got mixed up in the last segment there. That was my bad. I had them in the wrong order, I think. And we're going to just talk about what we've lost because of climate change, because the science is settled, and because, you can't even bring it up because then you're climate denier. Which, does anybody really give a crap about these terms anymore? I mean, I proudly, someone calls me an anti-vaxxer. I'm like, yeah, that really stings. I don't care. None of these words mean anything anymore. None of them do. So who cares, right? But climate denier is a particularly funny one. I don't know how you deny the climate. I think you affirm the climate every day when you get dressed, Because if it's hot, you're wearing shorts. If it's cold, you're wearing pants. I don't know. Anyway, it's just stupid. It's just so stupid. It's so stupid. And, these guys, they're not acting in the best interests of any people. They're designated corporate gangsters put into politics so that they can shape culture for fiduciary benefits, right? They got a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders. So they get into these positions so they can shape regulation and make more profits and achieve their life's mission, which seems to be making our life hell, is their life mission. Anyway, let's go to the naturally inspired moment because we need this one today, let me tell you. I want to talk about strategies to teach us how to relinquish control. Are you a control freak? You got a little bit of control freak in you? I think we all do. I think we can all say we got a little bit of control freakishness in us. But here's what happens when we try to control everything. What it does is it just creates more stress in us because, as you well know, we don't control anything, right? We can do our best, we can plan, and we certainly should. We should have a plan, we should prepare, but ultimately, we can't control everything. So when we try to control everything, it can create a lot of angst, worry, fear, doubt, and that isn't good for your health. So it's really important to try to work on relinquishing control, because control is actually a comfort zone. It gives us false sense of safety, as if the tighter we hang on to something, the safer we'll be. But the truth is, control often comes from fear. It comes of fear of failure. It comes of fear of rejection or fear of uncertainty, which the brain really hates uncertainty. So learning to release control doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing peace over panic and trust over tension. So here are 5 strategies to help us all loosen our grip and live with a little more flow. Number 1, acknowledge the illusion. So the first step is awareness. Most of what we try to control, people, outcomes, timing, is never really ours to command. Recognize where our energy goes when we try to manage what can't be managed. And that awareness just opens the door to acceptance, right? It's all an illusion. We can plan, we can prepare, but we all know some stuff may still go wrong. And every once in a while, when things go just right and you planned accordingly, man, I'm grateful for that when that happens, right? Because you're just like, wow, that just such gratitude for when things go off without a hitch, because it's rare, because we can plan, but we cannot control. So acknowledge that it's an illusion, that you can control things. 2, shift from fear to faith. So fear makes us cling tighter. Faith allows us to release and be a little more in our flow. Whether it's faith in God, if you have faith in the process, or even faith in your own resilience, or all of those things. Hopefully, you have all of those things. Faith in God, faith in the process, faith in your own resilience if something does go wrong, faith that and trust that life unfolds in your favor, even when it's uncomfortable, and even when it shows up like a disaster. We can still say, okay, I'm going to be resilient through this, and I know that I will make it through. So remind yourself that you can trust the unknown. If you look back in your past, think about all the unknowns at the time. You thought, this is unpredictable, this is unknown, I don't know what's going to happen. And think about how they worked out. And use contrast to where you are now. Can you do that? Because I know I can do that. I look back to some of the most painful points in my life, and I can say, wow, if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't probably be doing this today, you know? And I can do that with so many things. I can do that. Like, I remember when we were trying to buy this farm, we had a bid on another property, and that property seemed like a really good property, and it seemed like it was going to be a really good financial decision for us to buy that property. But wouldn't you know it, it didn't work out. And I remember feeling disappointed, like, but I had faith that something else would come along. And I think it was like 3 days later, we found this place. And let me tell you, so glad, right? So glad that other deal didn't work out. Like, thank you, Jesus, that other deal didn't work out, because I wouldn't want to be anywhere else but on this farm. So, you know, sometimes you just have to trust the process. Use a pause. This is really, really powerful. So when you feel the urge to jump in and fix it, to direct or demand or force, you know, like, I really want this to happen. How can I make it happen? And you start doing the mental gymnastics to try to do it. Take a deep breath before acting and ask yourself, is this something I can truly control, or am I trying to soothe my own fear? So that single breath creates space for better choices and calmer emotions. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't be a problem solver, right? But what's the motivation to solve the problem? That's probably a better question. Why do I need to solve this problem, right? Why does this need to go the way I want it to go. Would it be okay if I just kind of let go of this and let it happen the way it should happen? What's the worst what's the outcome here? Because we may be spinning our wheels for no reason. Number 4, build flexible routines. So structure creates safety, but it shouldn't become a cage. Create rhythm that supports your goals without rigid expectations. So morning rituals, meal prep, and time outdoors can help you feel grounded, so you don't need to over control others to feel secure. So I guess like when you start your day in a panic, I mean, there's a lot of people that, and I was one of them. I remember in my 20s for sure. And maybe we're all like this when we're younger, but you wake up like 10 minutes before you got to be at work. Oh gosh, I got to go. You jump out of bed, you grab something, you just, that's a terrible, can you imagine starting your day like that now? That's just, it's not worth it, right? The spike of cortisol that happens when you're just in a cluster like that. I used to, when I took my kids to school, for the few years that I did, they were at a charter school there for a little while when they kindergarten and, elementary school. And I used to call it the morning hustle, because that's what it felt like. It didn't seem to matter how early we got up. There was always, somebody can't find their shoes, or, oh, I forgot to make the lunches last night. Or, there was just this like push to like into chaos every morning. Somebody's pants aren't dry, or, you know what I mean? There was and it always turned into this morning hustle. And it just kind of felt like, there's got to be a better way to do this. And I'll tell you, there was. It's called homeschool. And that was way better. Let me tell you, that was way better. They didn't have that morning hustle. So think about building flexible routines, but having a routine is so important to kind of, calm that desire to control everything. Practice surrender as a strength. This is a big one. Surrendering doesn't mean weakness. It's emotional intelligence in motion. It's actually the practice of your emotional intelligence. So every time you let go of the need to be right, the need to be first, or to force your way, force the outcome that you want, you're building spiritual muscle. So you're building that muscle to live in faith and to live in flow. And maybe even tell yourself, I'm going to surrender this. This is not something I need to control. The weird thing about control is a lot of the stuff that we think we are controlling, we're not. We're going out of our way to maybe please other people because we want to control how they perceive us. You're never going to do that. You're never, ever, ever going to be able to control how other people perceive you. So all you can do is work on yourself, right? Work on pleasing yourself, work on having respect for yourself, laugh at yourself and your growth where you need growth. I'm to that point now where a lot of things I do it and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm still doing this pattern. Like, when am I gonna, you got me again. Like I dealt with that the wrong way, or I did this, or I did that. It's like becoming comical to me. Because you just have to relax and understand that you're never going to be perfect. You're never going to be perfect, but you're going to be perfectly unique, which is kind of cool, in a world where everybody is trying to be the same. Everybody's trying to inject their face to get the same lips, the same cheekbones. Everybody's trying to, look the same aesthetic on their Instagram page. Everybody's, follow the leader. It's pretty, I'm holding on to faith that it will actually become popular to not be popular on social media. You know what I mean? Like, because social media has become a narcissist dream, 27 posts a day of me. And with messages that aren't contributing to the betterment of humanity. They're actually contributing to the downfall of humanity. And man, I read that list yesterday, the fall of Rome, right? And I just couldn't believe how many of these markers that we see every single day now, and right in front of our eyes, right? On social media. People just have lost the thread, I guess you could say, of what truly matters in life. And even with the climate cult stuff, choosing to not have babies. If you don't want to have babies, don't have babies. But don't make the reason be because you're afraid the world's going to end, because some corporate gangsters sat around a conference table and came up with a marketing campaign called climate change to sell their products to you. If that ain't evil, I don't know what is, Anti-life is a death cult. If you're anti-life, you are in a death cult. You are in a death cult, AKA eugenics, And life is beautiful. You maybe need to do a reset and just, focus even on your own biology. Because I'll tell you, if you really dive into your own biology, you'll be fascinated with life. Absolutely fascinated with how this body works. How could this possibly be? It's a miracle. It truly is. You're listening to Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm Tammy Cuthbert-Garcia. I'm so glad you joined me for the first hour. We'll be right back for the second one, so don't go anywhere.
Are you ready to stay informed and inspired 24/7? Tune in to Naturally Inspired Radio anytime, anywhere. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com, or for the best mobile experience, download the Simple Radio app. Search for Naturally Inspired Radio, save it to your favorites, and click on the graphic to listen instantly. Catch live broadcasts, revisit past shows, dive into long-form podcast conversations, and discover rare, censored presentations by leading health experts. Plus, explore documentaries uncovering the hidden truths of occult and esoteric history. Stay connected, stay inspired. Naturally Inspired Radio is always at your fingertips. Tune in now. For health questions or comments, text Tammy directly at 720-303-8868. naturallyinspiredradio.com.
Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio, where we expose what's broken in the healthcare system, connect you to real health solutions, and inspire you to take back control of your life. We want to help you feel empowered, informed, and free to live naturally without fear, confusion, or dependency. Download our latest book on real solutions for health at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Naturally Inspired Radio is a nationally syndicated show broadcast on over 100 radio stations, online platforms, video channels, and podcast feeds. Follow us on your favorite platform today, hit that like button, leave a comment, and engage in our special live stream chats, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com to learn more, register for our weekly giveaway, and explore past episodes. You can also connect directly with Tammy, follow her on all major social media platforms, and discover more about our featured guests and trusted radio partners. Are you looking for better health? Work with Tammy today and take the first step toward a healthier, more empowered lifestyle. Schedule your complimentary 30-minute lifestyle assessment to explore personalized guidance on nutrition, movement, toxin-free living, and natural beauty without pharma. Get started now and discover Tammy's preferred health products at naturallyinspiredstore.com or text Tammy directly 720-303-8868. Love the show and want to support the movement? Head over to naturallyinspiredradio.com and click on the support tab. There you'll find all the ways you can get involved. Join our Naturally Inspired community, become a preferred customer, attend one of our amazing live events, get your backstage pass for exclusive access, and connect to all things naturally inspired. Thank you for tuning in today. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The information and other content provided on this radio show or in any linked materials is provided for informational purposes only, not intended and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Welcome back. You're listening to Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm Tammy Cuthbert Garcia. I'm so glad you're joining me today. In the first hour, we're talking a lot about this climate cult, right? And we just ought to be calling it that, you guys, because it is a cult. You can't speak outside of it, and if you do, you're cut out. So it is a cult. It's a cult. Climate change is a marketing campaign, and those who subscribe to it are in a cult about it. And I don't dig cults. I think cults are weird. They're definitely weird, and they can get out of control, and they can, falsely persecute people that don't adhere to their tenets. And it's just not right. It's not right. So, yep, I'm against the cult, 100%. I'm anti-cult. I'm anti-climate cult. And I happen to be anti-corporate gangster too. Yeah, for sure. So anyways, I want to thank some of our supporters because we are so grateful for you supporting Naturally Inspired and our message. Our message, of course, is to change the medical model. We want to connect people to real solutions for health so they aren't forced to take things they don't want to take. So we aren't put into a position where we no longer have freedom to treat ourselves as we wish. So huge mission. It is a huge mission. I don't know what I was thinking when I took this on, because it's been nothing but heartache. Let me tell you, no, not really. I've had some really wonderful moments, and I love connecting with everybody. And obviously I've got, it's what I want to do. I don't know how to do anything else. But it isn't the easiest path. It is not the easiest path, this thing that I'm doing. And so I'm so grateful for all of you that support Naturally Inspired. So thank you to Garnet, Shannon, Jeanette, Delaney, Brian, William, Felicia, and Tom. And don't forget that you can register to win as well. Did you know that you could register to win? Yeah, we give away free product every week. So go to naturallyinspiredstore.com/win, naturallyinspiredstore.com/win, and enter to win, because we pull somebody out of the hat every week and we give away free product. We want to give back to you. We truly are so grateful for all of your support. All right, let's get back. I got a few things I got to finish up with the climate stuff. I'm sorry, but I just, this one just really kills me, you guys. It just really kills me because I see so many people just like laying down for this. And I'm like, man, have you never been on a used car lot before, ever? No offense to used car lot salesmen. I love you. But there's a culture when you go to a used car lot that perhaps, maybe, things might not be on the up and up there, right? Meaning you might buy yourself a lemon. I mean, we can all agree on that, right? So have you never been on a lot like that? Have you never been in a timeshare meeting? Have you ever not been, you never gotten a call on the phone from a telemarketer? There's a vibe here. And this is it. The climate change cult is it. It's the vibe. It's the slimy salesman vibe. So alert. So here are some other things that I wanted to share with you about Mark Carney, because I pulled like a lot of information on him here. So there's a few other things. So, his company, Brookfield, is actively seeking large equity investments, over $1 billion for green power renewables. And also, in categories like wind power, so large scale wind farms, those are trash, solar power, so ugly. Utility scale solar generation, battery infrastructure storage, to support renewables, electricity grid infrastructures, modular nuclear, low carbon conventional, carbon removal, carbon capture technologies, critical minerals, clean tech supply chain, right? Are you getting it? Like this is what he's doing. Right? His largest corporate clean power frameworks to date. So he's got some investments with Westinghouse Electric Company, which is nuclear services. In November 7th, 2023, closed on that. Brookfield acquired Westinghouse for $7.875 billion. Positioning in nuclear life cycle services, a key low carbon technology. Orgus Energy, over $1 billion. Brookfield Transition Funds, a global transition fund launched in 2021 with $7 billion, $15 billion now it's scaled at. Yeah, this is his whole thing, you guys. Right? So this is business. This is business, right? These guys are businessmen doing business things. But the thing where we're really gone off the rails is that these businessmen have now, they're not just paying off the middleman, which is the politician. No, they're going to the helm themselves. Right? They're getting to the helm. And who knows, maybe that's why Trump ran for president, right? He saw how the game was changing. And he knew that, hey, I don't want to pay these politicians off anymore to get my buildings built and to get deals done. I might as well just become it myself. And I think that's precisely what's going on here. And so, that's what we're living in. It's not about the issues we care about. It's about them getting deals done, getting the negotiating done for the betterment of them. I'm not saying, there's some good things happening in our administration here in America with Maha and Bobby Kennedy. I don't feel like Bobby Kennedy is one of those. I don't feel like a lot of people in this administration are one of those. But it is the game. Picture it like a Monopoly game, right? What do? Walk away from the game? If you walk away from the game, then you don't have any part of it. You can't help in any way. Which I think most of us would be inclined to do because it's just so gross. So they're in the game, and it is high stakes game, and it's pretty disgusting. But my prayer is that people do not buy into this because, in Canada, they're in real trouble right now. Like the land grab that's going on, like, come on. They're trying to grab their land so that they're only using the First Nations people so that the government can get their claws in land. I guarantee you the government will say, oh, well, the First Nations people owe this land, but let us broker it for you. Let us be the middleman for you, First Nations people. We'll broker all the land deals and we'll, make it happen, the deals between the colonists and the First Nations. The government will act as I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get how people can't see what is going on here. You'll own nothing, right? But you'll be happy. Yeah, you'll be happy. All right. It's just crazy. Anyway, let's get to some more news stories because we've got a lot to cover here. Ooh, this one's a touchy one. So I heard this story a long time ago. I think I even played the clip of Bobby Kennedy saying this. He was at a dinner and somebody at that dinner was recording him. And he did mention that the technology that we have, the bioweaponry that we possess, makes it possible to design bioweapons to specific demographics. And we have confirmation on that. So take a listen to this. This is Tucker's recent podcast with a researcher. I believe his name is, well, I'll look it up. I'll look it up to be sure while we're watching the clip. Here it is.
So I remember Bobby Kennedy got into a great deal of trouble because he said at some event, of course, the New York Post led the charge against him, of course, but that COVID could be tailored, or in fact, for whatever reason, COVID had disparate effects on populations.
That's absolutely true. I mean, that's scientifically true. And I was quite familiar with that literature when he made that comment.
What does that mean? Which populations suffered most from COVID?
There was a finding in a scientific publication that two different populations of people of Jewish ancestry, depending which line they're from, where one was more heavily impacted than the other. Mm-hmm. And that was
Sephardic Ashkenazi.
Yes.
Basically.
And that was the finding. And I think the point that he was trying to make, or maybe didn't articulate well, is that the agent can be tailored to have that effect. And that's absolutely true. And that's through old gain of function technology. And with full synthetics, what I'm saying is you can make this so specific as that if I got your DNA, like off of, say that you threw a cup, I can tailor an agent just to you. And this is how it's changing. And if you're using AI behind that, I could then, and I say that I got a DNA sample from a couple of your relatives, so I knew what your family tree partially looked like. Machine learning is very good at actually random forest and tree decision making. You do a lot of complex AI behind this to figure out and make predictions that AI could about what your family tree looked like and have the disease travel through your family line.
There you have it. So this is Dr. Andrew Huff, and I followed him on X at the beginning of COVID before I got booted off the first time. And let me tell you, they have been torturing this guy. I think it's probably coming from the Central Intelligence Agency. That'd be my guess. I don't know, though. That's speculation. But somebody's torturing him. Showing up at his house, scaring him, lots of drama with this guy. And so he worked for Peter Daszak's EcoHealth Alliance. And in this podcast, he tells Tucker, how they courted him to be a part of that, and how they really wanted him to go and work in China. And he, being a veteran, just never felt right about the way things were going with China and the U.S., meaning he felt like a lot of our private proprietary type of discovery and whatnot was being stolen by China. And he just didn't like being associated with working in China. So he declined the offer. And ever since then, his life has been made to be, a living hell. And so he reveals quite a bit on here. But I thought this was interesting because Bobby Kennedy had been called out and called a, anti-Semite, or I'm not sure, like what, who cares at this point, right? Like, I mean, these words mean nothing. But anyway, so he was, mean guy. You're mean, right? But no, it's absolutely true. Bioweaponry can be designed to impact certain genetics. Yeah, of course. So then you've got to wonder why our government would be getting our genome sequenced in China. In China, right? Because I years ago I played that. There was a panel of doctors that went to Congress and said, listen, we need to be really careful here because China does not export any of their genetic material. They won't send it over here to be analyzed. They won't send it anywhere, but they're analyzing ours for some reason. And that feels a little freaky. That you just can't make sense of this stuff when you try to square it with rational decisions, right? Because you think the government's there to protect us. This is a matter of national security. You think that's what they're there for. But are they? Right? Because all these deals with the middleman and the politicians and things get signed and, nobody, I don't even think reads them, I don't think anybody's reading anything. I think everybody's cashing checks at this point. And so who knows, who knows what they're agreeing to. But we should all be aware that bioweaponry can be tailored to basically take out a whole class of people. This sounds like eugenics again, doesn't it? That's weird. I know eugenics is totally over and it doesn't exist anymore and all that and Hitler, blah, blah, blah. But yeah. It's weird. It's a death cult. It's a death cult. It's a total death cult. So that was interesting. I wonder how much pushback Tucker's going to get on that because, we're not allowed to say things like that. Gosh, poor Tucker. The next thing I want to talk about is comparing your food. So I pulled some of these screenshots for you so that we could talk about this a little bit because there still is this kind of what's the word I'm looking for here? This I don't know, there's an acquiescence, I guess, to junk food. I don't know how you here's how I'll describe it. It's like a good naughty. You know what I mean? Somebody brought some junk into the break room. We should, naughty, having a few donuts. You know what I mean? But the thing is, that's all funny and everything. But disease isn't funny. Disease is not funny. Disease, serious chronic illness, not naughty in a good way. Right? It's terrible. It wrecks people's lives. And we have a culture around food where it's kind of like that, I really shouldn't, but maybe I will. This naughty, it doesn't really matter. No, it does. And I hate to be the wet blanket, the one that's you can't have any fun or whatever. I'm not saying that you can't have any fun. You need to reprogram your mind for what is fun. Because let me tell you, some of these foods are toxic and I'm going to prove it to you. And a lot of people carry around a belief system that's it's not that bad. I had McDonald's when I was a kid. It was fine. Look at me. I'm fine. Right? It isn't the same McDonald's you had as a kid, as a matter of fact. Check out some of these screenshots I pulled. So here's the first one. I think it's McDonald's fries. Just check out the ingredients on this, you guys. So then, when we were kids, potatoes, sugar, corn syrup, water, shortening, beef tallow, salt. Now, potatoes, vegetable oil, canola oil, corn oil, soybean oil, hydrogenated soybean, beef flavor, wheat, milk derivatives, dextrose, sodium, acid, prophosphate, I can't even say that, natural beef flavor, hydrolyzed wheat. What's wheat doing in French fries? You see what I'm saying? Let's go to the next one. Oh, this is a big one for me. Peanut butter. So back in the day, peanut butter came in a glass container and it was made from peanuts, salt, and sugar. That was it. And now it comes, if you buy the Skippy peanut butter, it comes in a plastic container, microplastics, xenoestrogens and phthalates and endocrine disruptors, roasted peanuts, sugar, hydrogenated vegetable oil, cottonseed soy, and grapeseed oil. Highly inflammatory. Highly inflammatory. And look at how it's marketed. No cholesterol, everybody. Oh my gosh. Jeez. You just gotta laugh. You just gotta laugh. There's definitely a way out. I can point you on the right path. Join us at Naturally Inspired Community. Go to naturallyinspiredstore.com today and book your assessment. We'll be right back.
Did you know that a single collagen supplement could support your heart health, help protect against EMF exposure, and reduce inflammation all at the same time? Our preferred foundational collagen not only supports radiant skin and joint mobility, but also promotes heart health, reduces inflammation, strengthens hair and nails, provides added protection against the effects of EMF exposure, and so much more. Our favorite collagen is super absorbable and easy to take. Just 1 tablespoon in the morning and another in the evening for maximum benefits. Here's what our listeners have to say.
This collagen is so easy to take, I've noticed a huge difference in my hair and nails after just a few weeks.
Since I started using Tammy's preferred collagen, my joints feel more flexible and my skin looks smoother.
Try it today at naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen. When you purchase from Naturally Inspired, you get access to our group health coaching call and so much more. Go to naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen.
Welcome back. Did you know that liquid collagen can improve joint flexibility by up to 30% and reduce exercise-related pain within 6 months? Melissa from Utah said, I couldn't kneel without discomfort for years. And I had suggested that she add the liquid collagen to her daily routine. And within a month, she noticed really great difference. So her knees felt stronger. And she says, I can garden again without pain. It truly has changed my life. So everybody needs collagen, people. We're losing it at 1% a year after the age of mid-20s. And then that even accelerates more in perimenopause and menopause for women. And men, listen up. Listen up. You start getting out of the recliner and you think, I'm stiff. It's not just because you're getting old. Okay? It's lack of mobility. And that fascia that holds our body together, if it is supplemented with collagen to keep it functioning, keep you mobile and bendable, then you're going to experience that ongoing stiffening. So go to naturalinspiredstore.com, naturalinspiredstore.com/collagen. You can text me questions about collagen, 720-303-8868, 720-303-8868. Get yourself some collagen today. Okay, so let's go along with some of these other food comparisons because it is not the same junk food that you had when you were a kid. And we got to break through that belief system that, hey, this is no big deal, right? The thing is, just when you change your ingredients a little bit, you can still eat well. I mean, we eat great in this house and we're not eating, McDonald's French fries, So let's go on because there's some surprising ones here. Let's take a look at these ones. So look at this, just bread. So back in the day, Wonder Bread, and that Wonder Bread right there is before my time because I don't remember Wonder Bread ever looking like that. But then again, I don't think we could afford Wonder Bread. I think we were buying the generic bread, wheat flour, water, sugar, yeast, salt, milk, and butter. The very things that you would find in bread. But now, unbleached, enriched flour. Okay. Anything enriched is fortified, right? Barley flour, nice and reduced iron. Like look at the list in that. Soybean oil, dough conditioner. That sounds tasty, doesn't it? I think dough conditioner is the one with the plastics in it, right? The food grade plastics. I mean, look at that, right? You wonder why you're not functioning at a cellular level. Talk about congestion in the body, right? Because that's in my point of view, my belief, and it's just my opinion. I believe all disease comes from congestion in the body. I got a traffic jam at the cellular level. And so cells go into dysfunction when that happens. Look at all that stuff. You think that's not causing a traffic jam at the cellular level, a little congestion? I think it probably is, especially over time. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Look at this. American cheese, milk, salt, enzymes. Now it is protein concentrate, calcium phosphate, sodium phosphate, food starch, all kinds of natural mold inhibitor, enzymes, cheese, and color, right? Fake color for the cheese. It's a lot again. You think that might be creating congestion? I don't know. Food is information to the body. And so we have receptors in our body. We have receptors for minerals, vitamins, all these different, we even have receptors for hemp, right? Our cannabinoids system. We even have nicotine receptors because there's nicotine in things like cauliflower and whatnot. So we have these receptors in our body. And so the body goes, oh, yep, I'm going to pick that up. It's kind of like a lock and key situation, right? I got to that goes into that receptor. We use that. And then I don't think it has a receptor for less than 2% of modified food starch. I'm just guessing, but I think it probably doesn't. Or a natural mold inhibitor. It probably doesn't have a receptor for that. You know what I'm saying? So what does it do with it? I don't know. It's kind of like inflammation, congestion. That's what happens. All right, let's go to the next one because I think there's one in here, the ketchup one. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. Okay, now I do remember that ketchup bottle. That's how old I am. I believe my Nana had that ketchup bottle. So what's in our old ketchup? Tomatoes, vinegar, sugar, salt, spices. What's in it now? High fructose corn syrup. Zing! Right? That's just gonna and then on top of that, there's corn syrup in it. And more sugar probably in these natural flavors was just kind of a catch-all term that they use now for additives. But yeah, so you're getting a whole lot of sugar, right? You think, oh, it's just a little tablespoon of sugar, or of ketchup rather. It's mostly tomatoes, right? No. It's also tomato concentrate, which means probably more sugar as well, because it's, when we dehydrate things and boil them down, it actually brings the sugar content up in it. So yeah, that's a whole lot of sugar. Let's go to the next one. Ooh, yeah, Gatorade. Look at the difference in the color. See, I remember the one on the left. That's how I remember Gatorade. It wasn't really that colorful. So it's a glass container with water, sugar, potassium, and lemon juice versus water, sugar, dextrose, citric acid, natural and artificial flavor, salt, sodium citrate, monopotassium phosphate, modified food starch, on and on, right? Blue dye. And now we know some of those dyes are causing a real problem in our children and may allegedly be linked to things like ADD and other behavioral disorders. There's a lot of congestion, just think about that. Just think about something. If you made a Wonder Bread sandwich, right? And your kid had some ketchup in their lunch and then, they have wash it all down with a Gatorade, like, oh my gosh, how much sugar and additives and preservatives are you having at that point? It makes me sad for these little bodies because then they get blamed. Like, you're a bad kid. You've got bad behavior problems. You can't sit still. You're not doing this. It's all you. But like the first place I would be looking if I had a kid that was that way would be, what are we putting into the body? Let's look at what's happening here. Okay. Look at this one. So, I noticed this one long time ago when my kids were small, when my kids were still really small and we would do cake and ice cream on a birthday or be at a birthday party. That ice cream did not taste like ice cream. I'm like, yeah, this is like, and it melts different and the texture's different. When I was a kid and we used to have our parties, you'd get the big bucket of ice cream and that ice cream was hard to scoop, right? It was hard to scoop. It was like, and maybe because we were small too, I don't know, but it seemed like it was hard to that was a dad job, Dad had to scoop the ice cream. And now well, years ago, I haven't seen any for a long, long time, but I would say, 15, 16 years ago, I remember it like just sitting out on the counter and just kind of like turning to oil. And I remember thinking, that can't be good, So before, milk, honey, organic vanilla, egg yolks. Now, milk, cream, buttermilk, sugar, whey, corn syrup, natural flavors, vanilla bean specks. I don't know what that is. Mono, diglycerides, carabine gum, guar gum, carrageenan. Yucky yuck. Yucky yuck. Congestion. That's what I want. I want when you see this stuff to look at these food products, because they're food products. I guess they're food-like substances, and just think congestion. That's going to create congestion. If you really want to have some ice cream, make it worth it. Make it at home. That'd be a fun Sunday afternoon, put the game on if you like watching the games or whatever, and just, make some ice cream together. Make it worth it. If you're going to eat something like that, make it worth it, because this ain't worth it. Tastes terrible. You just forgot how the good stuff tastes. Seriously. You've forgotten how they taste. Look at these Ritz crackers. Flour, shortening, aged whole milk, cheddar cheese, sugar, salt, leavening, malt, emulsifier, lecithin, certified color. Look at the other ones. I haven't had a Ritz cracker in, I don't know how long. I couldn't tell you the last time I had a Ritz cracker. But I bet they taste a lot different now. I bet they do. Anyway, the point of the matter here, you guys, is we have to change the culture around the way we're thinking when it comes to our food. It isn't the food, that you had of yesterday. And, I ate that when I was a kid. It's no big deal. You're dealing with a whole different ballgame now. So as parents, we really got to be, we've got to create different culture in our family where kids see foods like that and they relate it to tummy aches and sickness. And when they see good food, you're making that at home, maybe, so you can control the ingredients. They get excited for that. So, listen, kids just want your attention anyway. The people are like, my kid will have a fit. They'll have a fit if they don't get their XYZ or whatever. And I'm telling you, you know what? Rebrand the family culture. Right? Rebrand the family culture and put some time into connecting with your child through food, because food is a big part of our family culture for sure. Like my mom's recipes, I still make them. I love that. But use it as a benefit for health, not a downfall of health. It isn't cute. It isn't naughty. Illness is terrible. When you don't feel well, all you can think about is trying to feel well again. So, it's not cute, it's not naughty, and it's not funny. Got to change that. Up next, I want to talk about this clip. Again, a pharmacist. I send that one? I got to make sure I sent that one first. Let me just have a quick look here. Nope, I didn't. I did not send it. Okay. Anyway, there's a pharmacist on Twitter who is maybe I'll just save that one for tomorrow. Actually, you know what? Let's go back to the one climate change clip that I did not play earlier on, Jason, if we can do that. And I'll save the pharmacist one because I want to really elaborate on that. In the pharmacist clip, he explains the breakdown of your medication and why, again, your corporate gangsters are, stealing money off the table. Stealing money off the table right in front of our eyes. And I don't know, somehow this goes on. But anyway, I'll cover that tomorrow. I do want to play the last clip there from the Joe Rogan podcast, again, from these two old guys who tell it like it is about climate change. So take a listen to this.
because it's certainly been driven within academia by the availability of funds. If you're willing to support the narrative, you'll be handsomely rewarded, and you'll be elected to societies, you'll win prizes.
And you'll be shunned again if you don't.
That's right. So I think, for example, if some administration in Washington wants to slow this down and get some sanity, they should cut the funding, or they should at least open up the funding to alternate theories of what is controlling climate. Because the theory that the control knob is CO2 doesn't work. It's completely clear it doesn't work.
It's completely clear it doesn't work. It's not about net zero. This net zero con is just that. It's a con. I love that he mentioned here, like, you'll win prizes. And the sad thing is that we're missing out on real discovery at this point. Because the way to discovery is so narrow in science. When discovery requires funding, and funding wants payback. And so all discovery leads to a product. And what I learned through the hundreds of interviews that I've done with doctors and researchers is that scientists actually don't develop products. Those are technicians. Technicians develop products to solve problems. They're technicians. Scientists are supposed to develop science. They're supposed to have no agenda. They're supposed to go into something with a hypothesis and figure out how it works. And another topic that they brought up here in this podcast, which was very, very valuable, is peer-reviewed science. It's never ending, you guys. I just, sometimes I watch this stuff and I just think, oh my gosh, it's never ending. It's like every mandate, every gold standard, the way to do things was brought in to manipulate. And peer-reviewed science is no different. And I've had other people explain this to me too, but these guys explained it as well. Peer-reviewed science was a way to manipulate consensus. And I remember, I got to look up that clip. I'm sure I've got it on my phone somewhere. But, the famous Neil deGrasse Tyson, I don't, the guy's he's like an actor at this point. He's like an actor at this point. He's ridiculous. You can put him in the same category as Bill Nye, the Science Guy. As far they were performers. And there was a clip, and I'll have to search my phone to see if I can find it again. But there was a clip where he said, "I'm not interested in science. I'm interested in consensus, because that is science," he said. So what? Come again? Come again? I had to back that up. What was that? You're interested in consensus? So you're interested in getting everybody on board. Okay. Because that's the model with peer-reviewed science. And if you go along to get along in the science model, then you get prizes. You get prizes and everybody wants the prizes, right? Everybody wants the Nobel Prize. But if you talk to real scientists, and I mean real scientists, I'm talking about a lot of these people who were nerds and got caught up in the marvels of science and like really understanding how things work in terms of physics and in this case, like atmospheric planetary science, like Richard here and William, they get jazzed about science, right? And it's always interesting to listen to people who are passionate about something. They can make you interested in a topic that you don't give a crap about, right? You're like, I don't care about atmospheric planetary science. But somehow when you listen to somebody who has a passion for something like Richard or like William, all of a sudden it becomes interesting to you, right? Because it's their passion that's gaining your interest. It's because they're so excited about it. And so it's sad to me that men like this, women like this, they operate outside the mainstream science model because they clearly saw from the inside that this thing is a farce, that science is paid for. You got to pay to play. You got to get on board. And if you're not on board with the agenda from the corporate gangsters that are funding your science, then you don't get to do science at all. And so it reminds me of the Andy Hill situation with Tess Laurie, Dr. Tess Laurie, when she was on Zoom with Andy Hill, who produced a paper for Science on ivermectin. I mean, he was squirming like a worm there. And she asked him point blank, is somebody influencing you with this paper? And of course they were. He was feeling the heavy pressure because there could not be a medical intervention available, a treatment available that worked if they wanted to roll out an emergency use authorization gene injection. And he was the guy. He had to say ivermectin didn't work because there could not be anything that worked on the market. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gotten emergency use authorization. You know how many lives were devastated because of that? It's too bad that he didn't have the courage to do what was right. It's too bad that so many people will sell out, for money. And I don't know, I've never been in that position. But I'd like to think I would never do that. These guys didn't seem to. This Richard Lindzen and William Hopper, they stuck to their science because that's what they love. And it's not interesting anymore. To people who truly love what they do, it's not interesting anymore if you are lying. If you are manipulating the science for a particular outcome, all of a sudden, the science nerd in you is not interested. And so they get out. I've interviewed many of them. They get out because this whole thing is a sham. It's just sad. Stay tuned, because when we come back, I've got your health topic for you. And today we're talking about eye health, so you won't want to miss it. We'll be right back.
Did you know that nearly 70% of Americans struggle with their health every single day? That's why we are reaching out to health professionals and to anyone who simply has a heart for helping people. Right now, there's an opportunity to make a real difference in people's lives while building a flexible income stream for yourself. Whether you're already working in health, wellness, or just passionate about seeing people thrive, we want to connect with you and introduce you to our system. Together, we can provide real solutions that empower people to take control of their health and create lasting impact. If you've been looking for a way to combine purpose with income, this is it. Visit simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. That's simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. We look forward to working with you.
Welcome back. Don't forget, you too can become a part of this naturally inspired community. Get texts every morning, which I call my whoa words of encouragement. That comes in first thing in the morning. You have open text line, health text line, so you can shoot me over your questions. Hey, I don't know what to eat today. Oh, no problem. I'll send you over some stuff. Or what do you think about this study? Or have you heard of this? This is the types of conversations that we have on my health text line. Have you heard of this? Have you heard of that? A lot of people haven't heard of the things that I've heard of. So I'm happy to connect you to those resources. That's what happens on my health text line. In addition to that, we do a Tuesday night weekly wellness workshop. Last night, we talked about insulin resistance. I know I've been talking about insulin resistance a lot, but people need to understand it. And so we kind of went into a deeper dive of that. We do like about a half an hour presentation, and then we transition into questions and answers. So if you have questions, bring them to the weekly wellness workshop. I think we went over time last night, but we try to keep them to an hour, but they always go maybe a little bit longer because we have questions, and we're just having a good time on there. We're just having a good time because getting healthy should be fun. So not only that, but you get 15% discount off of a great line of supplementation. Supplementation is a wonderful tool for your optimum health journey. It is just a tool, okay? But it is a wonderful tool. And I have a few that I don't want to go without, that's for sure. So they're valuable tools. So, you're buying a lot of this stuff anyway. You're buying multivitamins, you're buying collagen, you're just buying it from Costco and Walmart and places like that. All I'm saying is, why not do it here? You can buy your stuff here and become part of the Naturally Inspired community and join us on the weekly wellness workshops and text me on my health line so we can become friends. And also you can get encouragement every morning with your with my words of encouragement that goes out every single morning. Somehow people in the community are all over the place. Some people are in Canada, some people are down south, some people are, up north, but I don't know. It's just kind of a cool feeling to think we're all looking at the same stuff in the morning and we're going out like an army to try to do better for ourselves, with our optimum health. So it's just kind of cool. I love it. And I think you will too. So go to naturallyinspiredstore.com today. Get yourself some collagen. Get yourself some cellular reset. You'll be glad that you did. Or maybe get yourself an eye supplement, because I'm talking about eyes right now. So eye health, what you don't see matters most. So we often take our eyesight for granted. Until it starts to fade, right? So eye health isn't just about reading an eye chart. It is a window into your overall well-being. So the same oxidative stress, inflammation, and nutritional deficiencies that affect, say, your heart or your brain or your muscle tissues, they also impact your eyes. So here are a few reasons why vision declines. One, oxidative stress. So constant exposure to blue lights. Okay. I know that's an issue for me. I know that is. And UV rays create free radicals and damage the retina. Poor circulation is another cause of the decline in eyesight. High blood sugar, high blood pressure, dehydration even. It can reduce blood flow to the tiny capillaries that feed your eyes. One of the signs of insulin resistance is the broken capillaries in your eyes. So the whites of your eyes appearing a little red could be that you're dealing with some insulin resistance. Nutrient deficiency. So the eye requires specific antioxidants like lutein, vitamin A, C, E, zinc, omega-3s, stuff like that to stay clear and sharp. Mitochondrial decline. So your retina is one of the most energy-hungry tissues in the body. And when mitochondria weaken with age and your vision weaken with age and oxidative stress, your vision can blur or even dim. I knew it, I've said it before, and I'm just kind of like waiting for someone else to confirm, because I don't like putting stuff out there unless I know for sure. But the cellular reset, I believe, has helped my vision, because I was needing my readers bad, and things were very blurry there for a while. And I don't use them nearly as much anymore. So if you're taking the cellular reset, if anybody's out there, listen to me. If you're taking the cellular reset, will you start paying attention to your vision? And if you notice any changes, please text me, because I like to say that. I like to have three people telling me that that's the case before I go out there and open my big mouth. So if you're taking the cellular reset and you notice anything with your changes in your eyes, please text me. Please text me, okay? Okay. Toxin exposure, heavy metals, artificial fragrances, processed foods, they all burden the liver, which plays a role in filtering waste that affects the eyes in traditional Chinese medicine. I like to go back to traditional Chinese medicine. It just makes sense, you guys. It just makes a lot of sense. So how do you build stronger vision naturally? Well, you got to feed your eyes, right? So eating brightly colored foods, things like kale, egg yolks, pumpkin seeds, blueberries, red peppers. You can also take omega-3s, right? We have a wonderful one called Omega Guard, and then the cellular reset, because it helps reduce oxidative stress at the cellular level. Also, you want to take things like CoQ10, because that supports glutathione production. B complex as well. So you want to make sure you're getting methylated B complex. Sulfur-rich foods like garlic and onions all support your eye health. And then hydration's a big part of it too. So dehydration thickens blood and limits oxygen delivery to the eyes. You cannot hydrate with water alone. Okay, you've got to use some salt in your water, because the salt is what the cells grab and bring the water into the cell. So a lot of times people, I saw something funny today about, Americans being obsessed with water supply. Everybody's walking around with a, what did the post say? Something like a support water bottle. Have you seen these things? They're just these, I can't remember what they're called, but the big, huge ones. I don't know. I'm not really a fan of carrying that around everywhere you go. I think you should be, drinking water and hydrating with electrolytes. And you won't need to carry around a garbage bin size water cup. It's pretty funny, actually, because we didn't do that when we were younger. Daily movement. So walking, stretching, rebounding. You want to make sure you're taking care of lymphatics, right? So you're keeping your sewage system, your lymph system moving and clearing out any congestion. Also, protect your eyes from light damage. Limit screen time. If you can't limit, you got to use blue light filter glasses, okay? Get 10 to 15 minutes of natural sunlight every single day, right? It regulates melatonin, sets that circadian rhythm, right, that we talk about all the time, but it also helps eye muscle function. So, another one is support liver and kidney health from a traditional Chinese medicine perspective. In traditional Chinese medicine, the liver opens into the eyes. Here are some things to support your liver. You can do a liver DTX, which I love from our line of products. Also, dandelion tea, milk thistle, bitter greens. This all helps detoxify and support the pathways. I think we should always be detoxing. That's my philosophy on detox. Also, blink, breathe, and break every 20 minutes. Every 20 minutes. Look 20 feet away and look for 20 seconds. And then back to, down for 20 seconds. So it's 20, 20, 20 is the rule. So blink, breathe, and then break, right? So look away. So blink, breathe, look away 20 feet, and then break. Do it again. So 20, 20, 20. Every 20 minutes, look 20 feet away for 20 seconds. Deep breathing oxygenates the blood, feeding the optic nerve. So that's the key to bringing in the breath to the 20-20-20 rule. Here's some other things that help boost eye health. Red light therapy. So low-level red light, around 670 nanometers, has been shown to improve retinal energy metabolism. Bilberry and astaxanthin. How do you say that? I always forget how to say that. It's a potent antioxidant. It is in the our product line of the Caro Max, I believe it's called. I believe it's called this. It's like CARTOMAX. CARTOMAX. It's in that. So it's a potent antioxidant that supports capillary strength and reduces visual fatigue. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm getting totally tongue-tied. Protein for collagen. The eyes depend on collagen. Again, another reason why I'm always pushing protein, right? 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. You got to get your protein in. Your body needs it, especially as we're getting older. We need more protein to maintain our muscle mass and the quality of movement in our body. So the eyes depend on collagen for structural integrity. So don't skimp on quality protein and collagen. Also, nitric oxide support compounds that improve microcirculation. So that's in the cellular reset, and it can enhance blood flow to the eyes as well. So don't overlook eyesight. It kind of sneaks up on you, I feel like. I didn't have any problems with my eyesight for so long. And then it just felt like one day I woke up and I was having issues. You know, I was having to hold my phone or the menu way out here. It seemed like to me it happened overnight. And I think all these things, I truly believe this, all these things that we experience in aging is not necessarily something that we have absolutely no control over. I think if we are mindful about nutrifying our body, I think we just get to a point where we're deficient in things. And when we're deficient for a long period of time, I always use this as a visual, but like we're digging a deficiency hole in the ground. Right? We just keep digging the hole, deficiency, and the body keeps going for us because it's amazing. But we are deficient. And then when we start filling in the hole with nutrition, then a lot of these things can be rectified. It's a matter of just being mindful about filling the hole and patience, right? Because it takes a while to fill the hole. But as soon, every time you take your supplementation or every time you make a choice, a mindful choice to eat more protein or, get more colorful vegetables into your diet, you're putting a shovelful into the deficiency that's there, right? A shovelful of dirt in the hole, if you will. So you're replenishing it. So think about that. You got to be patient. You got to pick the path that makes the most sense to you, right? Pick the path that makes the most sense to you. And for goodness sakes, stay on the path. I know there's distraction. You hear about the latest and greatest, newest thing here, there, everywhere. Oh, I just got to do this. I just got to do that. But what ends up happening is people are just end up chasing things and they never really get their results because they're moving from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. Commit to a path, okay? Commit to it. High protein, low to no carbohydrates, right? Healthy fats, movement, stress management, nutrify, supplement, and add some of these extras if you can. Things like red light therapy, right? Add the extras when you can, but the most important thing you can do is get on the path. Decide the very important stuff. Get on track with that. The other things we can play with as needed, ongoing. That's what the health text line is for. And that's what my assessments are for. So we sit together and figure out the complicated stuff. But working on the fun foundation, we can do that pretty quickly. You've been listening to Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm Tammy Cuthbert-Garcia. I'm so glad you joined me today. I'll be back tomorrow at 3 o'clock. See you then.
Are you ready to stay informed and inspired 24/7? Tune in to Naturally Inspired Radio anytime, anywhere. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com, or for the best mobile experience, download the Simple Radio app. Search for Naturally Inspired Radio. Save it to your favorites. And click on the graphic to listen instantly. Catch live broadcasts, revisit past shows, dive into long-form podcast conversations, and discover rare, censored presentations by leading health experts. Plus, explore documentaries uncovering the hidden truths of occult and esoteric history. Stay connected, stay inspired. Naturally Inspired Radio is always at your fingertips. Tune in now. For health questions or comments, text Tammy directly at 720-303-8868. naturallyinspiredradio.com.